Hi, I'm Erin. I'm one of the co-founders of Ancient Harmony Healing. We're a wellness company that was founded by 4 women, each who had a chronic illness ranging from lupus to eczema. We healed using medical medium protocols, light energy, and nature. I'll be able to share this information with you all today. So today's topic is opening your spiritual awareness. And I wanted to start this subject off with saying that you're in a spiritual world. So there's so often when people think of themselves as separate or different from spirituality, that there is this other side or this other world that they're not a part of. But you are a part of it. And there really is no separation between you and everything around you. You're affected by it, you affect it. Just because you can't always see it with your physical eyes or hear it with your ears, it's there. And the only disconnect between you and what you might perceive as the spiritual world is frequencies. So if you see a light orb, for example, that light orb is resonating on a very high frequency. And in these physical bodies, we have much lower frequencies. There are times when we can be fueled by light and high frequency energy so we can see more of the world around us. And that's really the only difference. So we are in a spiritual world. We're already here. The other side, as some people like to think of it, your soul family, your soul group, your guides, your protectors, they are constantly trying to communicate with you. They're not trying to withhold information or be secretive or, the way it might seem sometimes, just because sometimes it's so hard to hear and it's hard to listen in this world, basically because of an overwhelmingly negative collective consciousness that lowers the frequency of the field of this world, and it makes it really difficult to hear your guides that are constantly pounding at your door. They want to talk to you, they want to give messages to you, they want that constant communication with you all the time. So they're not being reticent, and you can take comfort in that. So yeah, that's just basically the framework of we are in a spiritual world. So the next question is, what can we do to remove our blinders? And the answer to that is, like I've said a second ago, is we need to change our frequency. So I think the first thing I'd want to talk about and how I change my frequency and what affects my ability to interact with my guides and to get messages and whatnot is the food that I eat. So food affects your frequency. I think you can basically look at it as peace is one of the highest frequencies, peace and love. If you have peace inside your body, you're going to be creating a higher frequency than if your body is struggling to be here on this plane, struggling with what you put in it. So I love Medical Medium for this. He really breaks down, in a scientific way, what's going on in our body and what kind of wars are happening in our body between us and viruses and other things, and what you can do to kind of win that battle. And also, specifically in life-changing foods, he goes into selected fruits and vegetables and also wild foods, that what they do for you emotionally, what they do for you spiritually. So if you're working on something specific, I highly recommend getting that book and checking out those fruits and vegetables and wild foods that can help you, or that can help the specific thing that you're working on, maybe fear, or maybe lack of love, that kind of thing. I know, for example, apricots can open up the heart chakra to help you to be more kind-hearted. Cranberries help with lifting a gloomy mood. They can give you a cheery disposition. So, making your own fresh cranberry juice with maple syrup can help with that. And wild blueberries are probably at the top of the list for what they can do for you. Medical Medium talks about how they strengthen the very fabric of who we are. They are the most adaptogenic fruit on the planet, food on the planet for that matter. So yeah, drinking coffee, alcohol, those things are all going to lower your ability to connect with the other side. So much so, in fact, that I used to use caffeine and alcohol to not connect with the other side because I was born with abilities. So if you get to this place where you're ready to hear and you're ready to listen, take it into consideration. Be gentle with yourself on this process. This doesn't mean that you need to go raw vegan today. It means it's a gentle process. It's a journey. And you just know that the end goal is that you want to elevate your frequency so that you can take your blinders off and see what's there. Be guided by a force that can lead you in directions of joy, and that can lead you in directions where your joy affects the people around you in the most amazing ways possible. Another thing about raising your frequency is surrounding yourself with positive things. The movies we watch affect our thinking patterns, the books that we read, the art that we see. So you want to surround yourself with things that make your heart feel light, that lighten the burden inside of you, and touch on those things frequently. So, I'll listen to inspirational books or just something that really lightens my heart on a daily basis whenever I start feeling down or feeling like my frequency is changing, to reconnect. So it's just that, give yourself support, and that's a version of it. I think sometimes that we can do these patterns where we get to a certain level of light, a certain high frequency, and because we haven't known it before, we go back to something that we do know to repeat that pattern over and over again. So we never really circle up, and it's something to keep in mind, because the unknown, I would look at it more as an adventure, and you might feel discomforted, and you're gonna feel pulls to familiarity. But surrounding yourself with those positive things can help you stay that platform and help you keep your frequency up. The next thing that I like to do is change the frequency of my space. So because everything around us is energy, our perception of the things that we see around us changes the frequency of those things that are around us. That's why a house can hold good energy or can hold bad energy. It's because our energy is engaging with the energy of the objects around us all the time. And once you realize that, it's an incredibly powerful realization, because it means that you can change the frequency of the things around you just with your thoughts. So I like to do a little exercise where everything in my visual space, I acknowledge its existence, and I acknowledge that it's created with the highest light vibration. And in that acknowledgement, I take the creation out of the hands of the earth plane, so out of my ego's hands, out of my perception of that might have a negative lens, and I let go of that and just imagine that everything around me is created with the highest vibration, highest light energy. And anything that's outside of my vision, I imagine that it doesn't exist. So it's this one space that I'm looking at right now, floating in a space. And the reason I do that is because we can form connections with objects and things that aren't in our experience at that moment, but we're still engaging with it energetically. So you pull your energy back in towards you by just engaging with your environment around you in that moment, and engaging with it in this positive way where you see it as this composed of that pure light energy. And if you do this enough and you have that faith and that understanding that it really happens, you'll feel over time the frequency of these spaces change. And you might even have an experience where it happens and the frequency does such an amazing shift that all of a sudden you feel like you're sitting in a temple of light, and it can be so healing and so amazing. So that's another exercise that I do throughout the day if I want to increase my frequency, and which will help me connect to the highest source of light and information so that I can pass it on to you guys. The next thing that I do is I stay on top of clearing myself, and I talked about it in my first video, kind of negativity that we can run into. And so whenever I just on a daily basis, very frequently, I just check in with myself. How am I feeling right now? Am I feeling, is there some heaviness right here? What's going on with me right now? Am I feeling tired? And I'll go through basically the checklist of negative things that I may have encountered during the day. And so go back and watch that video to get more information on that. But basically I'm cutting cords and I'm making decisions about how it is I want to spend my energy and what I want to spend, how I create that and who I create that with. So checking in with yourself on a daily basis, basically cutting cords, reorienting. And a huge part of that process is also taking a second to go inward. So everything that I'm telling you, everything, any information that's available out there is available inside you when you go within, to that light within. And you practice it enough to connect. And that connection will guide you. It'll tell you, it will help clear the energies around you. It will help guide you how to clear them for specific things. It will tell you which direction to go in. So I think that's a huge portion of increasing your frequency, is just taking the time to go within, to get quiet. Clear all the stuff around you. You know, when you first get quiet, you might have thought patterns chattering at you and all that stuff. Clear it. Bring that stuff into the light. Say, we're going to go in a different direction today, folks. We're going to go, come on in, come into the light. Let's transmute all this chattering, negativity. Let's cut cords. Let's get centered. And let's connect. And that is the ultimate tool for frequency change, is connecting to that light within. So those are the steps that I take to change the frequency so that we can broaden spiritual awareness, take our spiritual blinders off and see what's really there. I hope you guys found this helpful. I am doing intuitive life coaching one-on-one on Zoom. If any of you guys are interested, just email me at info@ancientharmonyhealing.com for more information. And I'm doing this on a sliding scale because I want to make sure that anybody that needs help gets it. So let's close this with doing a blessing together. So just close your eyes and imagine a beautiful ball of light coming out of your chest, floating up into the sky. And as it ascends, it gets bigger and bigger with light. Bigger and bigger and bigger and higher and higher. And then it breaks up into a million little balls of light. And these balls seek the heart center of every living being on this planet. You see these little beautiful orbs of light going into the chest of every man, woman, child, animal, one for the Mother Earth. And now we're going to surround this vision that we've created with beautiful white light and send it out into the world. Thank you so much for doing that blessing with me. Next week, I'm going to talk about getting through rough patches, some tools and other things that I use, and we'll delve a little more into some of the nitty-gritty stuff. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye.